Alright, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? How is it going? I am Is There No One Else? And the video I'm bringing today, I'm going to go over the Magicka Necromancer build that I settled on after the How to Get Good series. So I had quite a few people ask me exactly what I was running on the build. I'm going to talk about the build that I ran, and then I'm going to talk about the changes that I might make. I'm just going to tell you guys, I have not been able to test Magicka Necromancer yet in Greymoor. I only have my Magicka Necromancer on Xbox. The game hasn't come out on Xbox yet, so a lot of this will be just me telling you where I'm going to start. A lot of it is subject to change, but this will give you a pretty decent start. I think this setup will still be viable in Greymoor. It's just, will it be the best for me? You know, and we'll talk about that later. So with that being said, guys, let's dive into it. As far as consumables go, I'm running tri-stats or movable pots, just depending on the fight. I am also running the gold tri-stat food. I don't have any on me at the moment, but yeah, I'm running the gold tri-stat food with the health recovery. It just gives you the most bang for your buck for you know, stats for food. Master's Inferno on the front bar infused. This is getting a rework in Greymoor. It will give you 600 spell damage for 4 seconds after you hit with a clench, or after you cast it. I guess it doesn't have to land. Just when you cast it, you get that 600 spell damage. The perfected version gives you like another 103. So unbuffed, this one piece will give you 700 spell damage, which is a pretty substantial amount, and it should help our overall burst combinations on our Magicka Necromancer, which is the one thing that it's kind of lacking right now, is just finishing burst. But yes, our tooltip on our clench aren't going to be as good, but everything else is going to be, you know, a little bit higher, which is a good thing. I'm not sure if I'm going to run lightning or if I'm going to run inferno. I'm running inferno for the CC. You know, being able to knock somebody down is very nice. If I adjust skills and I go lightning, you know, I'm gonna change what my CC is. I may use mesmerize. I may use something else. But yeah, that's why I'm went with the inferno staff. Back bar, I'm running lich, and I have the frost staff on the back bar infused with a spell damage enchant. Now you're gonna see that the spell damage enchant is pretty high. It's because I'm running Torag's Pact. The reason I'm running the frost staff and not sword and board is because with Torag's Pact, I want to be able to light attack weave. You know, so light attack weaving at range on the back bar is really nice. It gives me a ton of spell damage. This is almost an alchemist proc just by light attack weaving on my back bar. So I get a ton of spell damage by just light attacking on the back bar. And then when I go to my front bar, I have this infused shock damage enchant, which gives me a lot more burst on my light attack weaves. So I found it's very nice. It complements, you know, the lack of burst that Necromancer has right now. Plus, because it's spell damage, it's going to boost my heals. As long as I'm light attack weaving here, I should have a pretty high uptime on some decent healing. You know, sometimes when I'm kiting a lot, I really can't do that, and that's where it's a little bit of an issue. But Necromancer healing's pretty solid. We're pretty tanky, anyways. So, yeah. So that's where I'm at there. In no CP, like Battlegrounds and stuff, I'm running Vulcan Scoria. Vulcan Scoria is getting a rework to where it's going to add pen. This is going to hit really hard in Greymoor. I've gotten hit by like 5k plus Scorias. It's a very, very good monster set. Also helps with our burst. In open world PvP, I wear Bloodspawn in Harrowstorm. Bloodspawn's just really good. It adds to our tankiness. In Greymoor, I'm thinking about going Balorg. I think I'm going to go Balorg, and then I'll wear, like, Lady Mundus Stone. You know, if I want the tankiness, I'll just switch out my Mundus, and I'll wear the Lady Mundus instead. It kind of halves the amount of resistances we need. If I need more resistances, I'll just wear a protective piece. You can build your resistances to offset the lack that you get with Bloodspawn. You know, it's not going to be too bad. Balorg's just going to give you so much. You can make up your resistances elsewhere. So I'm not too worried about that. But yeah, no CP, I run Scoria. CP, Bloodspawn. Next patch it'll be Balorg. And then I'll switch out around some traits, maybe my Mundus Stone, to be a little bit tankier if I need to. Like I said, 5 Torag's Pact on the body. If you guys haven't seen the set, it's a crafted set. Very easy to get. Spell damage, max health, armor. Decreases your weapon enchantment cooldown, increases non-oblivion damage enchants its potency by 30%. So, as you guys can see, the normal infused spell damage, weapon and spell damage glyph, I think is like 450. So this adds a little bit more to it. Shock glyph, you know, your shock glyph doesn't normally do 6,200 damage. It's somewhere in the 4K range, if I remember correctly. So we get a lot more burst on our light attacks doing it that way. We get a lot more spell damage doing it that way. Yeah. And then, like I said, Lich on the back bar. Ideally, I'd run these all infused with spell damage. But I do not have the transmutes right now. This is what I just ran. I had 1 recovery, 2 spell damage. I didn't need the extra recovery, but for outnumbered 1vx, it worked out fine. Wasn't losing a ton of my damage. Not a big deal either way. But yeah, preferably infused spell damage. We're not running shields, so we don't need to stack max Magicka. We can just run spell damage and go that route. As far as our character sheet goes, these are our stats unbuffed. Hold on. I want to make sure I'm on my front bar. So unbuffed in our back bar, we have 36,000 Magicka, 22k health, that's 28k health in PvP, 1660 Magicka recovery. Keep in mind we have Lich, which is roughly another 700, so we have about 2300 Magicka recovery, 16,000 max stamina, 1800 spell damage. Now keep in mind, if we light attack on the back bar and we hit with our entropy, we're going to jump up to just under 3000. So we have 2900. Next patch we'll have about 4000 spell damage with this build. I think fully buffed it was about 4100. So we do have pretty decent spell damage with this build. 3k spell damage with 36k max Magicka is no joke. It's not bad. Keep in mind we also have the enchant with Torgs, buffing our overall burst damage combinations. Critical resist is a little low. That's because I don't have impen on the monster pieces right now. We get a base 1350 critical resistance next patch, so I will be in the 3300 critical resistance even with the same traits right now, so that's not an issue at all. So we have really good burst damage, good Magicka recovery, good health pool, good stamp pool. Stage 4 vampire, that might change next patch. We will see. I'm definitely still going to be vampire next patch. I will dive into that as well. Nachmunda Stone, like I said, I think you can change that enchant. And if you can change the enchant, you could just go to the Lady Mundus here. You get 2,800 resistances, and then you still have good sustain. So that's roughly the route I would go. On our front bar, I am running Ellie Drain. This is for the major fracture. We're doing a lot of single target burst. We want to amplify our burst as much as possible. This also gives us Magicka regen. We get minor Magicka steal while using it, so it's great for sustain as well. It's just such a good skill to have in your bar. It's really tough to take this off. I mean, it's free. It doesn't cost anything. It's got 28 meters. It lasts for 23 seconds. You cast it on somebody. You get some sustain back, and you do more damage to them. It's really good. Ellie Weapon. I'm currently running Ellie Weapon right now. This is going to coincide with our burst. Now, Ellie Weapon has its issues, just like everything else in PvP. When it's laggy, it's not really functional, but it is a lot of burst. So if you do this right, you can basically hit an Ellie Weapon, and then you light attack Flame Clench, and you have your Torgs packed, your Ellie Weapon, and your Flame Clench basically all landing close to the same time. When you summon a Blast Bones, you can kind of time it to get all those to hit in the same window. If you have a Scoria proccing with it, it's going to be really tough for people to recover. That's what I found at least. So yeah, I'm running Ellie Weapon. If you don't like Ellie Weapon, you can put the Flame Skulls here. You can run Force Pulse. I mean, it's up to you. I just think Ellie Weapon's it's a little bit better. The fact that I can proc it and then I light attack and I get the bonus there, and it procs with my Torgs. That's why I like Ellie Weapon. My light attack will proc my Torgs. It will give me my light attack damage, and it will proc Ellie Weapon. So all that damage landing at the same time is very valuable. Burst is the name of the game in PvP. That's how I'm kind of working it. I'm running Degen for my major sorcery. It's also our only dot to proc Vulcan Scoria. Yeah, I mean, major sorcery. Stalking Blast Bones. This skill is not nearly as good as the Stamina Blast Bones. We all know this. But yeah, it's still solid burst. We can still line stuff up to get kills. Flame Clench, this is going to be our CC, our other part of our spammable. We're going to hit this, and then we're going to light attack, and then we're going to proc this. And yeah, they're literally going to land within about a second of each other. And yeah, it's a lot of damage. Ultimate. In a group, you can run Glacial Colossus. Glacial Colossus is still good. Sometimes you're going to have an issue knocking people out of it. Solo, I'm going to go with the Swarming Scion. Currently, I'm running Devouring Swarm. You've watched it in there. Like, you get heals. It allows you to go full offensive. Next patch, Swarming Scion is even better. You gain more max stats. Your Devouring Swarm tooltip damage will be roughly the same. But your burst combinations are going to be bigger. We gain 10,000 of each resource, which is like 10 to 15. So our Ellie weapons, our Blast Bones, everything's going to be hitting harder, and the duration is 20 seconds. So when we go into it, we're going to be tough to kill, we're going to have high healing, and we're going to be able to just literally go full offensive on some people. We're going to be able to go full offensive and really apply a ton of pressure, and that will be our chance to really finish people. I've had a lot of people say that they don't like Swarming Scion. They said it's really easy to kill people in it. I have not experienced that myself. I've died to one person on PC running Swarming Scion in a 1v1 situation, and they were running Night Slayer with Oblivion damage. And so when you have higher health, you're going to take 8k undodgeable, unavoidable ticks, and yeah, they shredded my health bar. You know, so if you're running Night Slayer and you run across a vampire, good game. You know, but everybody else, I've literally ran into Zergs. If you guys want to see the videos for that, I've streamed it on Twitch. I was running Vampire on my Stamina Necromancer, and it was still doing a ton of damage because I got so much max stats that it was just shredding. So I'm still gonna run Swarming Scion. That's where I'm gonna start. In group play, like I said, I would run this other one. You could consider running Bone Goliath Transformation, but I just like the healing. You know, the healing that you get, the pressure that you're going to be able to apply in those situations is going to be invaluable, in my opinion. Back bar, I'm running Temporal Guard, you know, minor protection. It's always nice. We are also, you know, Necromancer, so we have Spirit Guardian, which is 10% less damage mitigation, or damage that we take. We have Summoner's Armor on our back bar as well. This is going to be our armor buff. Looks awesome, you know, duh. Elusive Mist. If you are in Battlegrounds, you can run Race Against Time. In open world PvP, Elusive Mist, in my opinion, is better. And the reason I think it's better, and I've talked about it a few times, but here, let me put on. It all depends on the fights you guys are getting into, okay? So in Battlegrounds, you know, having the speed to kind of fly around corners and kite, you're going to avoid a lot of incoming damage. But sometimes when you're in open world PvP, you're going to see like 10 people and they're going to start hitting you. And you're going to want to try and get away, and you're taking a ton of damage. You're going to have to block. And the minute you block, you don't have your major expedition anymore. Then you get snared, and then you have to get race, and then you block, and you're not moving out of anything. So it's a great skill. It buffs your overall damage by giving you minor force. It gives you major expedition, which is also nice. But when you're fighting severely outnumbered, you're going to have an issue getting away from people sometimes, you know. So for my personal preferences, you know, in those bigger outnumbered fights, I prefer Elusive Mist, because literally if they start ulti dumping me right here, I don't have to hit Race Against Time and then block. I can just go into Mist form. I get damage mitigation, I get major expedition, I get the snare removal, and it allows me to escape and kite to a spot easier. As you guys know, the Mist form is getting a rework next patch as well. We no longer will come out of it. We can just stay in the toggle for as long as we need to. So if all of a sudden, you know, I'm in open field here and I see, you know, 15 people and I know I can't fight them, if I know I need to get to a place to line of sight, I can drain half my Magicka just kiting to the rocks that I need to in order to survive. And yes, I will be low on resources because it'll be draining, you know, my Magicka, but it is a, you know, utility that I'm willing to give up, because honestly, if I didn't have it, I'd be coming out blocking and I'd be healing anyways, and I'd be draining more Magicka just to get back into Mist form. So I think it's going to be a pretty nice buff in general. Resistant Flesh. It does apply minor defile to you, but you also get resistances equal to half the amount healed for 3 seconds. So if I if I hit myself with a 10k heal, I get 5k resistances. You know, if I hit myself with a 15k heal, I get 7k resistances for, you know, for 3 seconds. So if I'm on my back bar and I have, you know, I have minor protection, I have my Spirit Guardian, and if I'm healing, you know, that's 17k, that's roughly 8,500 resistances, you know, if the amount healed. So if I'm at low health, I can stack resistances pretty easily running Resistant Flesh. It's a very nice burst heal. It is a little bit expensive, so you got to be a little bit careful on that end, and that's why we're also running Mortal Coil. So Mortal Coil, I've talked about a lot. You know, it's problematic on stam classes. On Magicka Necromancer, it's invaluable. You know, the burst heal is nice, but the heal over time just really does come in handy. We have access to this, you know, we have a lot of tanky mitigation. Necromancer's skill, Magicka Necromancer's best thing that they have going for them is their tanky. Their burst combination is very tough to land. They don't have access to an execute. Trying to finish a kill is very clunky and slow, and it doesn't feel very good sometimes. But what they have in spades is being tanky. Like, being able to just face tank and survive is what they do very well. And Mortal Coil is a part of that. So it'll give you a chance to stay alive long enough to finish off kills. Mortal Coil is just really good. You can run the other one, Braided Tether, in a group to give your teammates a small heal. The small heal also opens options for monster sets like Troll King. You know, other heal sets like maybe Bogdan or Earthgore or something like that. But in a solo situation, having that stamina return with this up is really nice. Plus, you get your healing increased by 3%, so it's pretty good. If you're in CP, this is what I'm running: 51 Warlord, 1 into Siphoner, 21 Mooncalf, 64 Arcanist, 49 Tenacity, 56 Shadow Ward, 28 into Tumbling. We do occasionally dodge roll. I am running 32 into Blessed. Wanted to increase my healing a little bit. I don't know if you need that in Harrowstorm and Greymoor, you will. 56 Elfborn, 64 Elemental Expert, 46 Spell Erosion, 72 Master at Arms. We're all direct damage. And you're going to say, most of our abilities are direct damage. That's why we're stacking direct damage the way we have it. 81 Ironclad, 47 Resistance, 75 Hardy, 56 Ally Defender, 11 into Thick Skinned. Want to get the Unchained passive, 0 into Quick Recovery. So that's the CP, that's the gear. Yeah, so that's what I'm running right now. In Harrowstorm, that's what I was running on my Magicka Necromancer, for those of you guys that are curious. Yeah, if the Vampire Ultimate isn't as good as I want it to be, and I end up going like Meteor with Mesmerize, you know, I may take off Torag's Pact. You know, if I'm running Mesmerize, I may want to run the Shock Clench. And so the changes that I would look at, and I'm, like I said, guys, I haven't tested this. That's why I wanted to give you guys this information so that you guys can, you know, choose your own on it. But this is not buffing our Blast Bones. A Lightning Staff would. Blast Bones is AoE. Lightning Staff is also AoE. This is single target. But the Lightning Clench does not CC. And so if you're going to run the Lightning Clench in an AoE situation, you're going to summon a Blast Bones and you're going to your Clench, and you're going to use some other sort of spammable to try and buff all that, I would look at running Mesmerize. Mesmerize is going to be really good for dropping meteors. That would be a very nice spot to be at. Also, in a solo situation, Glacial Colossus with Mesmerize will also be solid. If people are piling on top of you, you can drop it on yourself. You can then fear them. As long as they're looking at you, Mesmerize is going to fear people. You can animation cancel it. It's going to be very smooth. But yeah, there's other ultimate options that you can run. I am going to start with the Vampire Ultimate. Like I said, I've been running it on Stamina Tunes in Greymoor, and I've found it to be pretty effective. I'm not saying, you know, just because I think it's effective right now, doesn't mean that in practice, in actual application, that I'm going to actually enjoy it on a Magicka Necromancer. But if I am enjoying it, if I am enjoying like what the Vampire Ultimate is giving me, which is very possible, I may take off Torag's Pact. You know, I may want to buff my max stats a little bit more, so I may run a more max stat based 5-piece on the body. So instead of running, you know, Torag's Pact, I may look at running, you know, something like Necropotence, and which I don't have on me actually. So Necropotence obviously boosts our max Magicka. Then when we go into Vampire form, we'll have more max Magicka, you know, scale even higher. Then that means that, you know, our Blast Bones, our Ellie weapon, all those other sorts of things are hitting even harder. Our bats will even be hitting harder. Those sorts of things may offset Torag's Pact, you know. So those are the types of things that I'm looking at. So Vampire Ultimate, I may switch the 5-piece to Necro or something like that. If I don't go with that and I want to stick with Torag's, maybe I have Torag's and maybe I use Clench, and I don't know. Maybe I use the Lightning Staff and I use Meteor. You know, there's a few different ultimate combinations. I think Magicka Necromancer is going to be in a better spot in a solo situation. Obviously, this is non-Harmony. You know, Harmony is a way better way to play Magicka Necromancer, but if you're not looking to run Harmony, I found this to actually be pretty effective. I actually found this to be enjoyable in BGs. It was a lot of fun to play, a lot of fun to... It's always fun landing single target burst and just trying to nuke health bars. If you guys want to see clips of this build in action, my last 3 videos on the how to get good series are some iteration of me running Torag's Pact with like Lich or running some sort of combination. So that's why I'm posting this. There's not going to be any clips in this video because I already did those clips and I don't want to just redo those redo that gameplay. But yeah, so if you saw that and you were curious as to what I'm running, here's the build video. So if you guys have any questions, you know, if you have any tips or advice for what I should look at in Greymoor, you know, if you're playing Magicka Necromancer in Greymoor already and you're going to say, hey, you know, I tested this, I love to hear your feedback, guys. You know, I like bouncing ideas off the community. I like asking you guys what you're going to run. For me, nothing's set in stone. You know, just because I think something's going to work doesn't mean it's going to work, you know. That's what testing is for. So we'll test some mythics. We'll throw some mythics on the Necromancer. We'll see what that does. We might not run mythics at all. We might just run the monster set with Balorg. Vampire Out with Balorg might be pretty sexy. I don't know. We'll see what happens. So that's going to be the end of this video. If you guys have any questions or comments, please provide it in the section below. If you like the video and you like the build, I will be coming out with more Greymoor builds within the next couple of weeks. I'm doing a lot of testing right now, trying to figure out what I think of the mythics, where I'm going to apply the mythics, you know, kind of in an in-between stage, but that stuff will be coming. If you want to see more build videos, subscribe to the channel. If you want to join my Discord, we have a theory crafting Discord where we just bounce build ideas off each other. Different channels for different classes. There's a lot of really good players in there, YouTubers, Twitch streamers, all trying to give advice. If I don't answer something or if I don't know something confidently enough, somebody else that's pretty good will. Pretty laid back place. Yeah, that's in the description below. I also stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday on Twitch. So if you have any questions and you want to just come ask me, you know, hey, what do you think of StamDK right now? And, you know, I can try and give you my opinion instead of, you know, messaging me on YouTube. If you want to just talk to me, you know, in real time, we can do that also. Sometimes what I say and what I type, it gets lost in translation. So sometimes it's better to just hear what I have to say instead of see what I type and, you know, all those other sorts of things. So yeah, that will also be in the link in the description. Now, this is the end of the video. Thank you for watching, guys. Have a nice day.